This is Team America Rocketry Challenge, TARC for short. This is the only place in Wichita Public School District that has the wide open surroundings where we can launch this safely without a great risk of coming down on somebody's house or in a tree or a power line or things like that. They are flying rockets that they designed and built in a computer simulation and then test flew in the simulation in order to try to achieve the target altitude and time aloft for the competition they've entered. And then once they've designed it and flown it in simulation, then they actually build the models and fly them for real, trying to hit those targets.
There's 2 students that are on the same team that have qualified to go to nationals. There was a competition with almost 800 schools, and they are one of 100 teams that got invited to nationals in Washington, D.C.
I had to calculate the numbers of my practice flights, and then I just put that towards the launch rail, and I angled it just right to get it to be 10-ish score.
We're competing to be the best, so we're competing to be number 1. If you succeed at that, then you get a all expenses paid trip to Europe where you'll compete against other top-rated teams from other countries.
This is a 4th year, started by Steve Hamus 4 years ago, and he came over and met with me at Stuckey where I was at that time and got his program started, and then the following year I was at Stuckey and stepped into his shoes. We've been close before in the 3 years that I've done it, but not ever as good as these kids have done.
We get to start our engineering skills if we ever wanted to be an engineer, and we also get to learn a lot of different social skills because we all get to meet new people, and then we get new friends out of it too.
We're really focusing on their engineering skills. A lot of them sometimes don't even realize they're doing it, but it's just those basic fundamental engineering process, scientific method that we're instilling in them. Also working in a team. It's really fun to see them at the beginning, try to figure out their roles, and then once they've all got a job, they tend to figure out how to work best in order for them to be successful.
They have learned how to use a CAD program to design, build, and fly in simulation. They've learned to use that same CAD program to print out patterns and then actually build the rocket from scratch themselves, and then how to fly it successfully then and adjust all of the variables that they can to try to hit those targets. They have to do an intensive amount of math. For example, the team that you watched fly a minute ago is taking the altitude difference from what they went and the target, and the amount of onboard mass they have, the descent rate, and working all of those math problems to try to close the gap between the target altitude and time aloft and what their rocket actually performed.
I hope to use this knowledge to further my knowledge of engineering and rocket science.
This will be the 4th team that I've taken in the last 8 years. If the team is successful, they will win some scholarship money, and it's not insubstantial. If they won the whole thing, each of the kids that's on the national team will roll out with 10 grand pledged to scholarship, plus an all-expense paid trip to the air show in Europe this summer where they'll compete for the international championship. Administration and Gear Up have been so very, very, very gracious in locating funding that hasn't borrowed from somebody's pocket next door. This is not a cheap event. The equipment is expensive and the parts are not cheap, and it's not uncommon for us to break 3 or 4 rockets in the flight trials. So the support from administration and Gear Up, like I said before, has just been awesome.
We all just do it for fun. If we didn't want to do it, we wouldn't be here.
I like launching rockets in the air.